did the Book of Mormon readathon in our ward, and we went to Scott Ward. He's the Young Men's president. We went to his house.
The Book of Mormon reading in our ward was very important to me. Well, it was only 3 days, I guess.
And to think that it was just at a house in the basement, that the Spirit was so strong all weekend.
And he had set up couches and chairs and stuff for us to sit down, and we went down there and they had Book of Mormons for us to read, and so we opened up and they fast forwarded the Book of Mormon on tape for us to listen to, and so it was really fast, but you got used to it after a little while. And we would have people from the ward come down and read scriptures while we would eat, or like there was a couple who came dressed up as Lehi and Sariah, and they came and talked to us and told us the story. We read the entire Book of Mormon in those 2 days. We were really actually tired by the end. Most of us had fallen asleep during the thing, but we kept staying awake, and they kept us awake with treats and goodies. And
we didn't really know what we were doing. So like at the end, we all focused and like gathered all the information we just learned over 3 days.
It was a really strong experience for us, because every person who came down, like in the middle of it or had left and then came back, they said that they felt the Spirit while we were there.
It wasn't an easy thing to come up right after school and read until that night and Friday night and go to bed and get up early and start reading again. And it came to the point where they were reading it and they didn't think, after figuring out how many pages we were going through, that we wouldn't be able to finish it, because we told them they'd go home at 10 o'clock on Saturday. And so the kids voted and decided that it was very important to them that if they had done that much, that they wanted to finish the Book of Mormon. And so they voted and they stayed for an extra hour and a half on Saturday night so that we could finish the Book of Mormon on Sunday. And so
at the end, on Sunday, we had a testimony meeting, and a lot of people stood up, and
it was just this testimony meeting there was unbelievable. Like, it was like you had the biggest choke in your throat, like you couldn't speak at all. Everyone was just crying. Everyone that wasn't crying was about to cry. And once one person spoke, the first person, everyone just started bawling their heads off.
Because at girls' camp, I think, is when you have like really spiritual testimony meetings, and I think that was even more spiritual than, not all of at girls' camp usually everybody gets up and bears their testimony and stuff, but I think the ones that did bear their testimony and the ones that didn't, you still could feel, like, I've never felt the Spirit so strong as it was. And to think that it was just at a house in the basement, that the Spirit was so strong all weekend.
One of the young men, he stood up, and he had felt the Spirit so strong he started to cry, and I thought that was very manly of him to do that.
It was such a good experience, but I didn't really understand it more, so I'm making a goal in my life, not just to read it once more, but to read it throughout my whole life, every day, to make, so I can read more, because that 3 days answers so many questions for me, and I don't want the questions to stop getting answered, so I want to keep reading and progressing that.
It was a very strong experience. It was the first time I had ever read the Book of Mormon all the way through, and I want to read it on my own now, and it will help me work on my personal progress a little better.
Can you give us an example of one of the questions that got answered?
Picking my friends was a big one. Like this year, I know, because everyone's around me is telling, pick good friends, do this, do that, and it's just, there's in the Book of Mormon, there's so many things just saying, say your prayers and they will be answered. And I've just prayed so many times personally and in seminary and everything like that, so many times that I can just focus and just, I don't know, just feel the Spirit.
I think the number one thing I learned from that is that the scriptures are really important, and they can tell a lot about today and the future and what's coming now.
So I think that was one of the things I think that surprised him the most, that we asked these kids to do something hard, because it was a hard thing to give up, because it was really 3 days of their life and their weekend when they're not going to school and stuff, and so they did something hard and proved to themselves and to everybody else that they could do something hard. And
if it did that to you guys as a youth, what do you think that can do to spouses and families that read the Book of Mormon together at home?
I think that families who read the Book of Mormon together at home will definitely be closer to one another than families who don't.